Good evening, everybody. This is JoeHart, person with disabilities, primarily invisible disabilities. I haven't streamed in a long time, so I'm trying to figure out lighting and all sorts of stuff. But I'll try that for a little bit. But hello, everybody. I'm JoeHart. I'm a person with disabilities, primarily invisible disabilities. I used to do a lot of streams about motorsports and the presidential primaries. And Sifa, hey, buddy, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. I didn't give you much notice. Thank you so much. So yeah, tonight, I hope you're doing well, Sifa. It's I certainly get most all your messages and in your various platforms. And so I always think of you for sure. I hope things are well. Let's see. Let me get a couple banners. I'm good. I missed you. Well, thanks, If. I definitely missed you. Let's see here. I'll try this for a while. Whoa. Yeah, well, thanks. I'm so out of the loop. I was on the road until like December 20th, and 2 days after I got off the road, I got this, paralyzing pain in my leg and back, and I couldn't walk and move and all sorts of stuff. So I couldn't travel, which is the best thing I like to do. That's what I like to escape in, is traveling. And yeah, it's starting to get better and stuff. But anyway, it was pretty wild. It's sciatica like, but the doctors still don't really know what it is for sure. But anyway, I've just, I was supposed to get an epidural August 1st. That is 6 months after I had the pain. And that was with every medical expert at each stage said, he needs the shot immediately. And so for every stage that said that, it became 6 months. I don't know how that takes them so long to give a shot. But anyway, what this stream about is tonight, or what I'm going to try to focus on, is Kyle Larson. He's a driver in NASCAR. And he's a really good driver, and he's, they say he's, probably one of the best drivers these days in all different series, and give him any car and he could drive it. And so there's this thing that NASCAR has tried to do periodically over the last 30, 40, 50 years, and it's called, doing a double. So the Memorial Day was last weekend, and three of the most famous races of three different series are on the same day. So it's the Monte Carlo, the Monaco Grand Prix is in the morning, because they're on they're on European time. So it's at like 7 in the morning to 9 in the morning. And then the Indy 500, which is probably the world's most famous race, is at 11 or noon. And then the Coca-Cola 600, which is NASCAR's longest race, so probably most famous, or, whatever. And that's at like 6 p.m. So periodically we have drivers that say, I'd like to do both races. I'd like to do the Indy 500, which is a totally, completely car. And, it's like going from baseball to, knitting. These motorsports series are not compatible with each other. You can't just sit in the car and go, okay, give me the gas pedal, I can go really fast. It's a completely different thing. So he was going to do the Indy 500, meaning 500 miles. And then when it's over, jump on a plane and fly to the next race and do 600 miles. So it's, 1,100 miles in one day. So that's what he was going to do. And he's a great driver. He's a great spokesperson. He's super nice. He's a father. He's a husband. He's just a great guy. And I'm biased. I do like him. And there's some people that don't like him, but that's probably because they're jealous. He's so good. But anyway, people might be aware of the Indy 500. The Indy 500 was, I need to go to sleep, but I wanted to come say hi and show some support. Thanks for letting me know you were going live. Thank you, Sifa. Get some sleep. Take care of yourself. I really appreciate you coming by. So thank you so much, Sifa. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself for sure. So sleep always helps. Okay, Sifa, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So the Indy 500 got rained out a lot. You know, it was postponed by about 4 hours. So he probably had 2 hours extra time to make it to the other race. So since it's 4 hours late, he has now lost his 2 extra hours. So they're trying to decide whether he should stay at the Indy 500 for the entire event. That's not his, you know, he's not normally an Indy car driver. He's a NASCAR driver. Or if he should leave before the Indy 500 starts and get a substitute driver and just go to the NASCAR, or what he should do. And it was a huge deal. NASCAR thought it was cool that they're doing 2 races. IndyCar thought it was cool. Everybody was, you know, whatever that's called, marketing the hell out of this, you know, that, you know, we got another person. And, you know, I think it's something like 5 drivers have tried it in the last 35 years or something like that. And it takes a certain breed to do. They really have to be talented to be able to have transferable talent to a different car. So anyway, so there's like, oh no. And NASCAR has a thing. If you're in NASCAR Cup Series, and we can look up the law, so the rules, so I can get it perfectly, but roughly along the lines of, if you don't race in all 36 races, you can't be in the playoffs, even though, you know, the way you get into the playoffs in NASCAR, it's kind of frivolous, but they say you win and you get in. So if you win a race, you're in the playoffs. And he's won like 3 races, so he for sure ought to be in. But you have to race every race. And I think you have to attempt to qualify. It's okay if you don't make the race, but you have to attempt to qualify. So anyway, they were, you know, does he stay for the Indy 500? Does he go? And, you know, these are some big bosses. You know, there's 3 main owners of the 2 different series cars, and they're all billionaires. And, you know, I bet it's hard for 3 billionaires to get their ego small enough so that they can make decisions, you know, democratically. But, you know, all the powers that be. Oh, and also there was a ton of media people saying, well, you know, Rick Hendrick is the owner of the car, of Kyle Larson's car in NASCAR. And they say, well, Rick Hendrick really is NASCAR's golden boy. I mean, he's 70 years old, but a golden man. And he would not decide to just stay at the Indy 500 and miss the Coca-Cola 600 unless he was pretty certain that he was going to get a waiver. You know, that, you know, NASCAR hadn't announced it. You know, they said, we'll announce waivers when it becomes a reality. You know, when he misses that race or that start, you know, they're already going to have another driver start the race, and then Kyle was going to finish it, which is, then it's not his race. You know, if the first driver does 1 lap and the second driver does 499 laps, it's still the first driver's race. It's not given to the second driver. So, so they're deciding what to do. And they're, you know, the media people were, and the smart ones, you know, Bob Pockrass and Jeff Gluck and, you know, Jenna Fryer, and, you know, all the really informed. They have great contacts. They don't tell on their contacts, so they get great information. They had a ton of information. So they said, by the way, if anybody has any questions or comments, I want to hear more about Kyle Larson, if you think he'll get the waiver or if he will not. It is Friday night right now. And, you know, they, you know, after 2 days, they're like, that's weird, they're taking so long. And after 3 days, they're like, why are they taking so long? And then in 4 days, and they're like, what is this? This is a no-brainer. And then, anyway, Jeff Gluck researched Bob Pockrass's tweets, and he he researched all the previous waivers. And, the event that they missed the race happened. And then the next day, they got a waiver, within 24 hours. And they're like, why is this not happening? And, Kyle Larson is number one in points in NASCAR, and he's got 3 wins. I think someone else has 3 wins, William Byron or something. Denny Hamlin might have 2 or 3 races. So, he's the best of the best in NASCAR. So everybody was like, well, Rick Hendrick is not making an uninformed decision. He's not going to say, I'm going to miss the NASCAR race, but I don't know if I'm going to get a waiver. And they're like, he will only do it if he knows he's getting a waiver. So no announcements. And the 3 billionaires get together and they say, okay, we will keep Kyle Larson at the Indy 500. That's an extremely famous and rich and important race. And the Coca-Cola 600 is not as much, although it's still quite a bit. So they had the second driver for the Justin Allgaier drove Kyle Larson's car at first, at the beginning of the race, in I forget where it was, Charlotte, Concord, North Carolina, something like that. Charlotte Motorsport Speedway. I think that's where it was. And so IndyCar, 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. It kept raining. And, it's, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is pretty flat. So the rain doesn't drain very well. They need to dry the track. It won't drain like, most NASCAR tracks are pretty on a whatever that's called, an angle. So it I just said the word, I can't think of it now, but you know what I mean. So they have to dry it because it's so flat. So they dry all of them, but this is flat, so none of it's running off the track. So anyway, and they NASCAR teams and also IndyCar teams, but they don't have as much money as NASCAR teams. But NASCAR teams, some of the high-end teams has $1 million worth of weather equipment so that they can predict weather better than the weathermen. And they have everything. They have satellite, and they have they have everything just for them, just for their one team. I mean, it's 14, the richest, they have 4 drivers, so it's one team, but 4 teams in the one team. And, but still, that's a ton of money. So, Indiana, they're like, okay, we got this pocket, 2.5 hours to dry it, 3 hours to race it, and then it'll be done before the next set of rain coming. So we're like, okay. So, and that happened. They started, I don't know when green flag, but I think green flag was at 4:50 p.m. and it was supposed to be at 11 or 12:38 or something. I mean, it started 4 hours late. So of course he's going to miss the start, so he can't get points if he stays for the whole time. What some people are saying is he's a NASCAR driver. Just drive until what time you have to leave, get out, get a substitute driver, and fly to NASCAR. And and people are like, no, this is a really important race. They got to do this race. So by the way, if y'all have any comments or questions or anything, feel free to let me know. I don't know. It said 4, now it says 3. Sorry, I missed y'all. 3 at JoeHart. Twitter. Hey, Twitter, make some comments over there. I'll try to look for y'all over there. Golly. JoeHart 901. 3. Yeah, let me go over there. Hold on. I think I can do that. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So now it says 2, but okay. Hello? Hello? So now it says 2, but okay. Hello? I'm not sure why this is not. Hello? So now it says 2. Okay. Hello? Anyway, Twitter, I'm watching. So feel free to ask me any questions. I'm not getting the screen right. This isn't doing right. Hello? Anyway, Twitter, I'm watching. So feel free to ask me any questions. I'm not getting the screen right. This isn't doing right. Hello? Anyway, Twitter, I'm watching. So feel free to ask me any questions. Anyway, so okay, so that keeps looping and looping and looping. So I think I will see comments. Feel free to write a comment. If any of the Twitter people on JoeHart 901, it shows I have 5 people over there. If any of y'all can just write a comment, say hi or hello, just so I can say, yes, I do see your comment. Because it's on my Android, and I'm far more comfortable on my Apple products than my Android. So I don't know if it's working all right. But yeah, just feel free to just say hi, and I go, yeah, okay. So anyway, yeah, if you have any comments or question about Kyle Larson, if you think he ought to get I mean, like I said, this is Friday night, so this is 5-6 days later. This is really late for NASCAR, and people are saying it really ought to be decided before the next race, so he'll know if he's in the so golly gee. Let me try to get on my iPhone and see if I can get over there. Say something. So I do much better on my iPhone. Yeah, someone say something. Do y'all think Kyle ought to get ooh-wee. Hello, JoeHart here. That's one X Twitter. I have 2 Twitter accounts going right now, JoeHart91 and Ray Great Zambini. That refers to Jack White. So anyway, okay, so do you think Larson? Do you think Larson ought to get a waiver or not? So let's see. Do you think Larson ought to get a waiver or not? Hoo, hoo, hoo. So anyway, so they decided to keep him at an Indy. Started at 440. He started 6th, which was extremely high for a rookie. And I think, I don't know, for the Indy 500, it's called this is May. It used to take an entire month. Now it takes, still a pretty significant 2 weeks. And I do believe before May started, Larson had never been in an IndyCar. So to be 6th out of 34 drivers, but only 33 got into the race. So he qualified 6th, started 6th. He was doing really good. Everybody's like, well, what if he won? Of course he would want to stay. So he got come on, Twitter people, just say hi. Just say hi. Is that really too much to ask? Please comment. Please comment. Thanks. So, okay. So yeah, it was, the whole day was a pretty blur. And once we knew he wasn't doing the double, I kind of lost a little interest, but I was still interested in him in the Indy 500. But I don't know when, probably 2/3 through the race or something, he I think he did a speeding violation in pit road, so he had to go back through, and so he went from 6th, 8th, or 10th to like 25th. So he was out of commission. He was out of and some people are like, this is when he ought to get out of the car. He ought to just stop and then go to NASCAR and go from Indiana to North Carolina. And he had 2 helicopters at each end and 2 planes at each end, and he had everything set up. Supposedly there was 3 planes that did all these trips. I don't get why. I can understand maybe 2 planes in case Kyle Larson has to immediately go and then everybody else goes, a couple minutes after that. But 3, I think that's a little extreme. But it's their money. They can do what they want. So anyway, so he didn't do exceptionally well. He finished the race. He did a couple of interviews, and he was like, okay, off to North Carolina. And so he took the helicopter, the helicopter to the plane, to the helicopter, and got out at North Carolina. And at the exact minute, basically, the exact minute that he was getting off the plane and coming to the track area, on the golf cart from the helicopter, on the golf cart, as he pulls up to the track area to get near his car, there's a yellow flag and then, of course, a red flag for rain. So it was raining. So he then could calm down, like, okay, there'll be a break, and then he can get into his car and stuff. And again, it was a blurry night, and 15 minutes always seemed like 2 hours, but I'm pretty sure they had they had Twitter. Please say something. Twitter. Oh, and can you watch Twitter on the website? Okay, maybe you can't comment. I think for Twitter, it used to be that if you can have an app on your phone, and then of course you can do everything, but you can also get onto it from the website, and then you can't make comments. So maybe all 7 of them can't make comments. But anyway, okay, I'll survive without it. I'm just would like to have some interaction to know that it's working. So anyway, he he gets off the golf cart, and they're like, he was putting his Hans device on and snapping it in back and getting ready, and then it was like, okay, now I can relax a little bit. And and it always goes from a yellow flag to a red flag, which is warning cars slow down, and then red is cars have to stop. And so they're getting out and going to the bathroom and eating dinner and doing all sorts of stuff. And we're like, okay, it's going to rain for a while, but it's they have lights, so they could go until 2 a.m. And I don't know what time it was. Probably 9 or 10 at night. So it could rain for an hour, and they could dry it for 2 hours. And I think they're saying from 1 to 2 is when the race would finish. So that probably means And I think it's 3/4 done. So they waited for quite a while. Again, I don't remember the exact time, but they probably waited for, they waited for a while, probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It was probably over an hour. And, the person that is in front during the race at the time the red flag start, they're like, oh no, we'll never be able to drive that track, we're done, let's just call the race, this is, for NASCAR, if you do if you finish stage 2 or half the laps, whichever comes first, then the race is official and you can call it at any time after that. So they're at 3/4. So it could have been called, but they're taking their time, and they're milking that Kyle Larson just arrived and he's doing a double, and they're milking it. NASCAR is getting every dollar out of Larson and this marketing of this double. They're, and they sign up for that, but NASCAR is using and abusing them, to get every single dollar out of them. And Larson was pretty cool about it, but then it goes and goes and goes and goes, and then they call the race. So Kyle Larson doesn't even have a chance to get into his car. Justin Allgaier drove it until the yellow flag and the red flag and parked it and got out. And Kyle Larson was just walking up from his helicopter at that moment. And then an hour later, they called it. So he never had a chance to get into his car. So everybody starts going crazy about these waivers. And I thought of coming on here because, with all my streams, I've made friends and not made friends, and a lot of things have happened and stuff. But there's one person in particular that was extremely passionate about Chase Elliott getting a waiver. He got pissed off and he wrecked someone, and so he was suspended for a race. And that's why he wasn't in every race, because he was suspended. And then he got a waiver. And I'm like, the person and we used to be real close. And then I talked about them too much or something like that. But anyway, we were pretty tight. And I was like, I don't even like Chase Elliott at all. I don't like him at all. And by the way, I love Kyle Larson, but I don't like Chase Elliott at all. But there is no way that NASCAR is not going to give him a waiver. And the other person was like, he doesn't deserve it, and he effed up, and he ought to be out of it. And I'm like, he's the most popular driver. They're not going to do that. He's going to be, and he got the waiver, within a day or two. And, so anyway, we're at this, it's Friday night. I guess I just looked at, I guess I just looked at the weekend schedule, and it starts Saturday. So, there's, people are saying he ought to know before this weekend starts whether he's out or in. You race differently. You would do different things, because then he would just want points, because then he would be, if he's not in the playoffs, that's the top 16. So he would want to be 17th, which is stupid. Kyle Larson wants to be number 1 because he's great. So it's insane that we're talking about him being 17th. But yeah, they would race things differently if they if he was not given the waiver. So boy, there are some bizarre things in here. Oh, I can do that over here, can't I? Okay, so X. Okay, I haven't done this in years. So let's see here. Present. Share a screen. Banner. Let's see here. Ruh-oh. Ruh-roh. I don't know if that's a whole bunch bigger for you all, but I can read it much better. But anyway, this is Bob Pockrass. He's the one he's my main authority about Formula One. He's always right. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's does great research. He has great contacts because he doesn't tell on them. So he always keeps, anyway, he's great. So, he likes to give the weekly schedule earlier in the week, but then he repeats it a couple of times throughout the week. So anyway, it's WWTR Gateway. It's in, it used to be called Gateway Raceway, but now it's WWTR Raceway in Madison, Illinois. I think it's a suburb of St. Louis, but it's really in Illinois. And that's the Cup and Truck. And in Portland, out in Oregon, is the Xfinity. And he has all the times for Eastern time. Anyway, if those three series were at one track, there would be events on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But since they're two different tracks, they can do it just Saturday and Sunday. So anyway, as you can tell, the schedule starts. Cup's practice and qualifying is at 9:30 tomorrow morning. And I think it would be only appropriate for him to, it's only appropriate that he would hear about this. So, so anyway, that's, let's see here, stop screen. So anyway, I don't, golly. Ray Great Zambini. Can y'all make comments? Ray Great Zambini. Let me try that. I would love if y'all would comment. Ray Great. Ray Great. So it says 1 here, but it says 2 there. So 4. 4. Hello. So that's to Ray Great Zambini. And it's from my third account, but for some reason it doesn't work with StreamYard. I don't know why. Feel free to comment. Feel free to comment. Do you think Larson ought to get a waiver or not? So I haven't streamed in a while, and Twitter always was, when I first started on StreamYard, Twitter was my main platform, but StreamYard was very incompatible with them. It seems like they've done leaps and bounds, but No one's responding to me. So I'm like, come on, guys, tell me you're there. So 9-4. Woo-hoo-hoo. Let's see here. I think we used to be able to do stuff. Let's see here. So anyway, that's essentially the story. That it's Friday night. That's really late to not do. I mean, and there's a lot of anxious people on X, and they have diarrhea of the mouth when they tweet, and they're like, why is NASCAR taking so long? I can't believe they won't give them a waiver. And I'm like, I don't think it gives any indication whether they took a long time or little time, whether that means it's good or bad. They just haven't decided yet. And, I think they're playing a little game. I think they are saying, Larson, there's famous stories with NASCAR with Dale Sr. and all the real famous talented drivers, and they'd get really pissed at NASCAR, and you go, F you, I want you to do this with the cars, and I won't race if you won't do that. And they go, Dale Earnhardt, NASCAR is bigger than you. So you just sit in your place, and we're bigger without you. We can live without any driver. So I think they want to play that game with Kyle Larson and say, well, but you get a waiver. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I guess I'm storied out. 37 minutes. That's pretty long. I used to go 2 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, but I always like to have engagement. Engagement really helps. And I guess all the Twitter people are on the website, so they can't make comments. I don't know if you're in different parts of the world, but it'd be nice if you could, I don't know. Anyway, I think I will call it there. And I just wanted to at least talk about it before it happens one way or the other. Because it's no news after they decide yes or no. But yeah, like I said, I don't think they will actively say, no, you do not get a waiver. I think they'll kind of do what they're doing is just not giving the waiver. And then, in the middle of the weekend, they go, well, yeah, we're not going to give it. And I don't think that, if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was a betting man, I would put all my money on that NASCAR's given him the waiver. Rick Hendrick is very smart. He's not stupid enough to throw away a championship just because of the Indy 500, which it's a very important race. But he's smart and he's calculated and he knows how to run businesses. So he had to have been told by NASCAR, don't worry, Rick, we've got you covered. And then he kept Larson at the Indy 500. So, and he missed the Coca-Cola 600. So anyway, feel free to get in touch with me on all my platforms, Twitter, and, thank you to Facebook profile, Facebook page, LinkedIn profile, YouTube, JoeHart PwD, YouTube, Francis's assistant. Francis is my cat, and I'm his assistant. Twitch, which I think is JoeHart 2, maybe. I don't know. And then the Ray Great Zambini and JoeHart 901. And then the one I was commenting from, this here with the white background there, the V in the middle, the background. That's NASC Inc. First four letters of NASCAR, NASC, and then Hart, my last name, HART, and then Inc. for Incorporated, INC. NASC Inc. is that. So, yeah, you can get in touch with me from all the platforms. And I don't know if I'm going to start getting back into streaming. There are a lot of things going on. I'm pretty excited about the NWA. I really like Caitlin Clark, and that she's going to make a big difference in WNBA, their budgets and their private planes. And, she's making a big difference. But I'm getting to know and like the other teams and the other players, because I've been watching every game that I could watch. I've watched, but it's been messed up. They would list channels and then it wouldn't actually happen on those channels. So her, and then the U.S. presidential election primaries are something I love to cover, but there's really only two candidates left, so there's nothing to cover for the primaries. But in light of Trump's trial, and that's just the first of his four. I think there's 4 other trials, 3 or 4 other trials. So that would be pretty good to cover. I'd like to cover that. So, and motorsports. There's I'm always going through a real messy divorce with NASCAR. I don't really like NASCAR anymore, and I don't think they care for me much either. And so I haven't been going as much. I would love to go. I mean, this isn't NASCAR, but I would love to go to the Formula One Montreal race this coming weekend. I've gone the last 5-7 years, and I've not missed it. But my leg still hurts, and I don't have a really reputable car. And anyway, I don't think I'm going to go into that. But anyway, yeah, that's it. And as always, I think it's a great idea for everybody to try live streaming. I think live streaming is a great thing. I said that in 2015, and now I still believe it. So that's 9 people from JoeHart 901. Thank you for being here. Ray Grant Zambini has 5. That's a big jump. That's like my 3rd account, I think, or maybe my 2nd account. I forget how those 2 are ranked. But anyway, that's it. I will talk to you later, and thank you so much. Let's see here. End stream.